1, 2, 3, funk it.
My darling, I love you, 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 I love you.
So this one day I had my friend come over after school. And every day after school we ride our bike to the dollar store as like an everyday thing. So we're getting back from the dollar store and I remember seeing that my dad's car was not in the driveway, meaning he was not home from work yet, which was a good thing for us because we loved being loud. So we get inside and I walk past my dad's room. And I took a mental note that my dad's door was closed. I don't know why, but I just did. So we're in the kitchen eating our ice cream and all the stuff we got from the dollar store. When we were done eating our snacks, we decided to go downstairs and watch some TV. While we were going downstairs, I looked at my friend and I say, "Hey, didn't you remember that my dad's door was closed?" And she was like, "Yeah, why?" I pointed to my dad's door and it was wide open. So my friend just told me to close it because she was creeped out. So I closed it, and as soon as I did, the light in my dad's room turned on. So my friend started getting a little worried. She was like, "This is not normal." So I told her we could just wait outside until my dad got home because it was a little sketchy. So my dad got home, and when we got back inside, the door was open again.
This is why I stopped using Ouija boards. One day I took some friends to see if we can go get in contact with this girl who had recently passed away in mysterious circumstances. But shit got real weird real quick. So instead of getting normal responses on the board, we started getting ha 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 ha, then la la la, and then it ended on za 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 za. This then began the attachment of Zaza. From that point on, I got no other responses besides ZA, ZA, ZA over and over again. Doesn't matter what board I used or who I was using it with. At the time, I didn't realize that I started experiencing a lot of bad luck all around the same time. One of the things which was my hamsters dying within the same couple weeks. My boss started hating me after 2 years of working at her store, and then it was just bad vibes all around. So this prompted me to stop using the board for a while, but even when I used it later on in life, it still got the same result. I'm gonna do part two of why I don't use Ouija boards anymore. So after I started experiencing all that bad luck, I was like, fuck this, burn the board. Burnt it with sage, it's gone forever. But I did keep this. So after it was gone, I have not touched a Ouija board for years. Then one day, recently, within the last few months, I thought maybe I can try a Ouija board again, see if I get the same result, because I'm curious, I want to know. Absolutely not. All I did was Google it. I started Googling board, and I kid you not, the next 3 days, I had horrible luck. Once again, my boss started being mean to me. My car broke down. Bad vibes all around. So I gave that up. I didn't buy the board. I know it's really hard to believe that people are actually not pushing the planchette with Ouija boards, but I have this trick. And this trick is when you tap your fingers while it's moving to show that you are not the one moving it. This is a trick I used in my last live stream Ouija board session with my mom. Zaza was the one that came through, and I ended the session very quickly. But if this goes anywhere, I will gladly upload it to TikTok so you guys can see.
This is the story time of why I'm not allowed to go to church anymore. When I was little, I used to be infatuated by statues, whether they look uncanny, realistic, or plain right human. I was obsessed with them. My favorite one was always this one of Jesus in a casket. He appeared so peaceful. The noises he made were anything but. Angels and the statues in the church would always move, moan, and groan in agony. Around this time, we were living in my old house, where a lot of weird occurrences were happening. Noises coming from the attic, birds dropping dead at our doorstep. The worst one was when I woke up with my nails being cut off. Parents decided it was enough, so they told the priest. Came over and gave our house an exorcism. It's an overstatement, he just blessed the house twice. Parents told the priest what I had been seeing, put a cross of holy water on my forehead. Told him it was best for me to stay home. Came back at it, I think those statues were anything but angels. This is the story time of why I am no longer allowed to go to church. Part 2. Let's talk about the events that took place before my parents told the priest that I saw the church statues move. But now here's a little background of my childhood. My parents used to work all the time when I was little, and I was the only child, so I had nobody to care for me. It was until my best friend's mom babysat for me. But what my parents failed to mention was that she had a few ghosts of her own. Her mom even told me that a ghost tried to choke her because it tried to steal her daughter. But let's save the story for another day. And I have reasons to believe her ghost got attached to me. A month before the priest came to our house, I began sleepwalking, which I haven't done since I was 7. On one night, I woke up in the kitchen to the sound of glass breaking. A cup fell, and I dumbfoundedly picked it up with my bare hands. I spent hours trying to stop the bleeding, but the next day, there was no trace of the events.
I'm about to show you one of the most interesting graves in Texas. It's in the Texas State Cemetery in Austin. I visited the other day. It was a cold, dark day. If you walk into the cemetery, you'll notice all the Texas flags and the Texas monuments. These people that were buried here were proud to be Texans. But if you keep walking, you'll notice the Confederate field where Confederate soldiers are buried, and right next to that is the grave of Albert Sidney Johnson. He was at one point considered the strongest general in the Confederacy. He was killed possibly by one of his own troopers. He was killed during the Civil War at the Battle of Shiloh, possibly by one of his own soldiers, and his body was initially buried in New Orleans, but he was moved back to Texas. In 1905, a sculptor was hired to create this monument, and let me tell you, it's eerie because it depicts Albert Sidney Johnson exactly how he looked as he lay dying on the day of his death. It's an eerie monument, it's life-size, it's right in the shadow of Stephen F. Austin's grave at the top of the hill here at the cemetery, and it's very, very, very interesting to see in person.
Welcome to a place you might not expect to be haunted. Seemingly uneventful gravel lot behind an old church. The haunting, however, predates this lot. 100 years ago, an old convent used to be here. And behind me, a woman known as Mother May has been seen walking down the hallways of this old convent to this day. Because energy doesn't need a building to exist. And for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name's Rebecca the Ghost Guide. I make spooky content all year, so just imagine what I've got cooked up for October.
I'm literally fucking shaking and crying right now. So I was in my room and I started hearing really weird things coming from the kitchen. It sounded like somebody was doing jumping jacks for 10 minutes straight, just like really loud thuds. But my whole house is asleep. It's like 1 a.m. right now. So I go on my cameras and I start listening and I hear a cup fall, just like a plastic cup fall, which we have a lot of those. So I was like, oh, it's just the cat. So I go into my sister's room and the cat is asleep. So I go into the kitchen, there's no cups in there. And as I walk in there, this drawer flies open. So I start freaking the fuck out because a drawer has just flown open in front of my face. And then I go into my room and I hear my oven start making noises. And the fucking oven turned itself on. Are you fucking kidding me? I have video of some of this, so if you want to see it, comment below if you want to see the video. So here's the video after a drawer flew open in front of my face and I was hearing things running up and down the stairs. In this video, I want you to listen for the light right next to me to start buzzing as soon as I ask if anybody's in my house. Hello? Hello? Holy crap, dude. Hello?
What is a creepy, unexplained childhood experience that you had?
When I was a kid, my family and I lived in a house in Texas. It was a 2-story house and my parents were putting my little sister to sleep in her crib. Then they went on downstairs and I continued to play with my toys at the top of the staircase. For some random reason, I decided to look at the bottom of the staircase and I saw my sister crawling around on the ground. So I thought to myself, I wonder how she got down there. Then I remembered, my parents had just put her in the crib about 5 minutes ago. So while I stare at her, I realize that she's a little pale and she has huge black eyes, but otherwise she looks just like my sister. So naturally, I start screaming and my parents come running. I'm hysterical and my parents are asking me what's wrong. I point and I say, look, there's Sneha, she's at the bottom of the staircase. But she was gone. Around my 18th birthday, my family and I took a trip to India. We were visiting my grandma and one night she decided to oil and braid my hair and my sister's hair. So as my grandma was braiding my sister's hair, she looked over at my mom and she said, Ritu, Sneha's twin would have been a girl. I look at my mom and I say, what twin? And my mom looks at me and says, Swasti, I never told you this, but I miscarried Sneha's twin. This happened around 5 years ago at my parents' house. So I had just gotten home from the gym and I had my headphones on. As soon as you walk into my house, you see this staircase here. I saw my sister's legs sneaking around this corner of the staircase and I rolled my eyes because I was like, what is she sneaking around for? This is our house. So I went to the kitchen to wash my water bottle. I looked up through the kitchen window that looks into our family room here and I saw my sister sitting on the couch with her headphones on. She was just kind of looking at her laptop. There was no way she could have come down without me seeing her. This is where I was and this is the only other way to get through to that other room without coming directly through the kitchen, but I'm still gonna see you walk by the kitchen. So I came into this room and I asked my sister whether she had gone upstairs 2 minutes ago. She took off her headphones and said, no, I've been sitting down here for the past hour watching The Office. I freaked out because I know I saw someone go up that staircase. So I went upstairs, but I couldn't find anyone. I called the cops, they searched the entire house and they couldn't find anyone either. To this day, I have no idea who it was, but those legs looked a lot like my sister's. So I can only assume that it was the ghost of my sister's dead twin.
What is a creepy, unexplained childhood experience that you had? That is the name of this post that I found on Reddit, where this user by the name PM Me Your Poem wrote a really interesting story that I'll be sharing with you tonight. And before I dive any further tonight, just want to set a quick reminder. Hit this plus sign for more content, revolving anything with the paranormal, unsolved cases, and anything strange around that realm, because you've come to the right place. I was laying in bed one night. It was pitch black because we had just moved in, so all you can see is the light creeping underneath the door from the landing. My mom was sleeping in the same room as me, but she was sleeping on the floor. We had just moved in. When all of a sudden the door slowly starts to creep open, and an oldish woman appears around the door looking at me and then goes away. I just thought it was a nightmare and turned around really fast and went underneath the covers, hoping that I would wake up. When all of a sudden, something that I'll never forget. My mom whispered to me, "Did you see someone just peering around the door?" Safe to say we didn't sleep that night.